join the meeting and setting up. The meeting and setting up. There you go. Now am I going to hear myself with the feedback? There you go.
Perfect.
Now we're good. Lauren, it's so good to have you here. Let me welcome everybody that is going to be tuning in and let them know a little bit about what we're going to be doing today, why we are doing this, and then welcome you formally / officially to this segment. So, for everybody that is tuning in, we are in the month of love. And typically in February, we start making lists of the people that we want to make sure that we show our appreciation for, right? And it's easy to identify the people that we love in our lives outside of our core. And I'm gonna use the word core instead of our circle, because we believe your close friends and family are in your circle. And every year in PUFI, we try to celebrate the month of love, and we do a lot of promotions and we launch new products, etc., that are aligned with gift giving. But this year we wanted to do something different. We thought, how can we help our audience better, our customers, the people that interact with PUFI Organics? How can we help them in a different way with content and added value that they can carry over for their own benefit, right? And realizing that the most important relationship we can have in our lives is the relationship we have with ourselves. And the most important conversations are the ones that happen here between our two ears. We decided to launch this entire campaign about self-love, and we couldn't be more excited about the fact that we have an incredible guest speaker tonight that is going to be teaching us what are those steps, to truly achieve self-love. So it is my pleasure and my honor to welcome Dr. Lauren Horton. Lauren, you have a background that it's scientific. You're a PhD, you're a researcher, and then you're also a life coach, and you're also a mom, and you're helping more people, some of them women, to learn the art of appreciating themselves.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how did you get started on this?
Well, thank you, Ana, first of all, for inviting me to speak to your teams. And it's just exciting to be here and get to meet some of the people that are associated with PUFI. So thank you for that. To be honest, I always have loved people in general. I am a people person. If you meet me in person, you will know this. But I decided to go into life coaching after being in my current position as the director of research for a healthcare system here in North Texas. And one of the things that I noticed was that my team just didn't have confidence in themselves, and it felt like there are ways that I can help to support them. And then in my own circle, I noticed that people weren't showing up in their authentic selves. And I've struggled with that in my younger years. We talked about that earlier. And so I really wanted an opportunity to be able to support people in a way that makes them feel like they can be who they really are meant to be.
It's interesting. I have two young adults. I know your kids are a little younger than mine. And one of the things that when I look at my own life, in retrospective, I realize the things that we value or the things that we believe are part of self-love when we're younger are totally different than what I believe
Absolutely
is right now.
That is so true. In my younger years, in my 20s, obviously I very focused on my physical appearance. What did I look like? I was going to the gym, and not because I wanted to be healthy, because I wanted to be skinny, because I wanted to wear certain clothes. Like, it had nothing to do with my health. But as I've gotten older, I'm in my 40s now, my almost mid 40s, and my birthday's coming up in April. That definitely has changed over the years. And I realized the importance of my health. I have a history of cardiovascular disease in my family, and I want to be here for my kids. Like you said, I have two young kids. I have a 7-year-old young boy and I have a 10-year-old girl. And so I thought, I want to be here for them, but then also understanding just this journey of learning how to love yourself. One of the best representatives for that, for my children, is myself. Right. And I realized early on before I even had my son, I looked very differently in regards to how I felt about myself. I used to wear wigs and, do certain things that would fit into what I would call corporate America. And then I realized, you know what? I want my daughter to love what she looks like when she wakes up in the morning. So I wear makeup for work because that's just the norm, but I decided to wear my hair natural. So I grew out locks and just focused on really learning how to embrace who I am as a person and be authentic for my daughter first, but then also obviously for my teams and my friends and my family, so they see what that looks like in real life.
What an incredible motivation we find when we become mothers, right?
Absolutely.
I remember exactly what you're saying. I recently stopped dyeing my hair, so all this is recently it's like probably about a year ago. and it's exactly it's exactly related to what you're saying.
Yeah.
I remember when I got pregnant with my first daughter, I thought I'm gonna raise this baby to be happy, and then immediately hit me. I need to be happy to teach her how to be happy, right? And how hard it is for us women that are faced with all these stereotypes, day in and day out, to put pause on the self-criticism, Lauren, because we demand so much from ourselves, from not only or on the looks point of view, from what it's expected from us to do, on how we show up every single day, from the way we care for others, from the way we stretch ourselves super thin, in order to make other people feel good about themselves, and sometimes at the expense of our own emotional and mental health. So we said, and I'm going to go like all out here. I'm just going to be emotionally naked. It's the way I like.
That's the only way to be, in my opinion.
I told you I have had 2 plastic surgeries earlier today, and you said wow,
Me too.
I've had when if your laptop is going to reboot,
yes,
feel free to join through your cell phone.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Not a problem. So if we lose you momentarily, I'll hang in there and then you can join us, or you can just switch to your cell phone right now.
I'm about to do it right now. I have about 3 minutes before my computer decides to automatically reboot, which is what would happen, of course.
I know, it's always unexpected. When you said, Anna, what age did you have plastic surgery? I said at the age of 19 years old. 19. As a mother of kids that are older than 19 years old, now I look back and I'm like, what in the world? What was I thinking? What was I thinking? You know what I mean?
Oops. I'm about to understand.
You are all good. So now we cannot hear you. There you go. Here you are.
There I am. Can you see me and hear me?
We can hear you and see you. Yes.
Perfect.
So let's talk a little bit about the concept of self-love, because as we mature, we start evolving, the way we perceive self-love. But for you that are a researcher, and have been navigating this pathway on coaching others and helping others feel better about themselves, how do you define self-love?
First of all, I define self-love as really loving yourself authentically and talking to yourself kindly. I think one of the things that we take for granted is self-talk. And 80% of our thoughts on a daily basis are negative. So 20% of the time we're thinking positively about myself. That's crazy to me to think about, but that's the reality. That's the research.
I'm going to ask you something. I think, are you supporting your cell phone on a platform? I think that the voice in your microphone, it's in the bottom part.
Oh no.
Okay. There you go. That's perfect.
I'm going to hold it.
That's perfect. That's perfect, because that way it's not clashing against the table. So
Understood.
you're saying the only 20% of our thoughts are positive on a day.
On a daily basis, which, like I said, it's insane to think about. And I don't want that to be the reality. So you have to combat it. And we can talk about that later on ways that we can combat that. But that's one of the things I wanted to share. And then also, about 44% of Americans at this time, and in the research that I've seen, love themselves, consider that they actually love themselves. So a majority of people in this country don't even love themselves. They don't see themselves as valuable or worthy of love. And so I think, first of all, understanding that you are worthy of love, that you are worthy to be loved, and embracing that you can love yourself first.
The word worth
Yes,
hits me to the core, and I believe probably to a lot of people that either are or will be watching this. Why is that? Like, it's like we tend to be more gracious with everyone else around us than
absolutely.
with ourselves. You know, like if someone makes a mistake, you're like, that's no big deal. That's just a mistake. But
Yeah,
God forbid that I make a mistake.
yeah.
Ever happen.
I think one of the things that I mean, and we talked about this too, is around just our upbringing, our values as children, where we grew up. I know that I definitely, I mean, I've gone to therapy for this, but I definitely grew up in a household, in an environment where, it was taught that I had to be better than, the other person, or I needed to be number one. And so I had this constant need for approval and wanting someone to, I mean, give me the accolades because I thought that's what was worthy, not realizing that at that moment, even at a young age, that I was enough, And so I think through coaching and being vulnerable with other people and showing them, like, hey, I've been where you've been. I know what it feels like not to feel worthy, not to feel like you're enough, to feel like no matter how hard you try, you just aren't seen. Um, it doesn't have to be that way. We can learn and use techniques to start to build that infrastructure on the inside to help us feel loved and be loved. And then it radiates out, right? So I think that's really important to think about. But worth is important. And we have to realize that we are worthy of love and worthy to love ourselves and give ourselves grace.
What an incredible opportunity to heal those patterns that we have inherited. I I know my parents did the best they could with
Absolutely.
with the tools they had in their hands. They thought
Absolutely.
that pushing me to be in the top 3 of my class was the right way to do it, right?
Yeah.
And
First of all, that's amazing, but that's awesome.
but it always comes, everything has two sides, right?
Absolutely.
And what an incredible gift we can give to ourselves and our families by healing our own hearts, right?
Yeah.
And this is coming from someone that has open heart surgery, so to repair our hearts like in more than one way. So earlier today you said, being a scientist, and your mind works differently. You work on steps, on sequence, on and I think that's great because a lot of people are usually looking for a formula.
Yes.
Just give me something practical. Give me a tip. Give me something that I can go ahead and implement to help me combat those negative thoughts and show more appreciation for my own true being, right?
Yes.
You mentioned that you have a sequence of steps that you have personally gone through,
Yes.
how you use with your clients, and I cannot wait for you to share this with everybody.
Yeah. So the first step is, honestly, we already talked about it, is understanding what self-love really is. It doesn't mean, and it's encompassing of self-care, but I think sometimes people think that self-love is selfish, but it's not. It's self-full. And then the second thing is to affirm yourself. a lot of, like I said, 80% of our thoughts are negative. And so to combat that, we have to replace those negative thoughts with positive thoughts, reframe our mindset. And so I showed you earlier, but I have like posters all over my house and in my phone where I give myself affirmations all day long, where I can look at something, it has to be before me. And I have specific affirmations that I say to myself, like, I am loved, I am enough. And it's important for me to say, I am. I talk about this a little bit in my book, but affirmations are not, I'm going to, or I will, or, it's really, I am. It's the present moment of who you are and who you want to be. Even if you don't feel like you are that, start to say it, and then your brain will start to retrain itself, and you will become what you say you are. And so that's really important. One of my favorite quotes, and I believe he may be the father of affirmations, his name is Emily Koo. And he says, every day in every way, I am getting better. And that's like my mantra. That's been my mantra for like at least 12 years, at least. And I just say it over and over. And that's like my daily thing to say, every day in every way, I am getting better. That's paraphrased, by the way. So if you look it up and it looks a little different, but that's what it is. But those are my things that I need to say every day. And then the last one is, I have everything I need on the inside of me. I believe that we are equipped with all of the resources and tools that we need on the inside of us. It's just our job to develop them and grow them so that we can use them.
Wow. I'm making mental notes here because I definitely can use some positive self-talk. I am enough.
Yes.
I'm worthy, and I'm every day in every way I'm getting better. And I love that if you make it an intentional activity as a part of your day that doesn't have to feel like a task or like
Right.
just one more thing that I need to do. Oh, by the way, I need to write in my journal, like I said, it truly works.
Absolutely.
Rewiring your brain. So we talked about acknowledging self-love and understanding what self-love is. In a few days ago, Lauren, I was listening to someone talking about the pathway of healing being spending time with yourself in silence. And wow, how profound that was, because we tend to numb ourselves with screens, with social media, with information. We're always consuming something,
Very true.
When on the contrary, when people meditate or people pray or people just stay quiet in silence, it's when there's a true opportunity to get in touch with that parts of ourselves that sometimes we don't want to look at, but they're the only avenue to self-healing.
Yeah.
Do you have another step that I thought, wow, like I don't know if we do good enough job as parents sharing with our kids the importance of selecting their circle, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So my third step is around your circle and creating boundaries. It's so important to surround yourself with people that are like-minded and think like you, because they're going to determine long-term what you're actually going to think. My mom used to tell me birds of a feather flock together, and it sounded cheesy back then. I'm sure every parent has said that at some point in their life, but it is so true. I have friends that affirm me and I affirm them, that support each other. We cheer each other on. And if you have toxic friends, that they can be deflating and they can just weigh you down and then make you focus on all the wrong things. And so it's so important to have that right circle around you. One, to keep you accountable. Like I tell my circle my goals, and they're like, did you work out today? You told me you were going to work out like 5 times this. If I'm not, I'm like, no. They're like, well, I worked out. And I'm like, okay, I got to work out. Like, those kinds of friends that are going to hold you accountable. Or, if you do something that's not aligned with who you want to be and who you affirm yourself to be, they're going to call you out on it. Like, if I can be a little loose and say, they'll call you out on your BS. Like, they're not going to allow you to, get by with things. And so I really appreciate my circle, because when I get off track, or if I'm not doing what I said I'm going to do, they're going to tell me like, hey, that's not it. And then another part of that around your circle, like that's your outer circle, but there's also the one that's inner. We're talking about self-care and self-love. you also have to create a circle around yourself, a boundary to make sure that you're protecting who you are and what you believe in. And sometimes that means saying no to things that you want to do, but just aren't productive for you at that moment because you need to preserve your time. Even if it's like for your kids, you know? And so I think that's really important to remember too. Like we always talk about circles and the people that surround us, but it's also about the circle that you create around yourself to continually work on you. So you have that time, that boundary.
Give me an example. I'm thinking about like if I'm listening to this and I am someone that struggles with establishing boundaries in my relationships, and I am naturally a giver, right? Because
Yeah.
you know, like there's people that are givers and takers, and they typically relate to each other. Right?
Very true. Givers are
So
givers and takers definitely go to the givers to get, to take.
get help me with some word choices or affirmations for everyone that it's watching on how to say no in a gracious way that it's aligned with respect and love for the other person and for myself,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
With in that will somewhat set me free from the guilt of saying no. Because most people's pleasers are like they feel guilty about saying no, right?
Absolutely.
So they'd rather like grind it and work themselves to the bone in order so that I don't have the pain of that guilt.
Yeah.
But I believe that words are very powerful, and you have expressed some of these affirmations that are very, very powerful. What it's a way to say no in honor and respect for who I am as a human being.
Okay, well, I'm going to say this one, Anna. First of all, we don't owe anyone an explanation, so be okay with that and be free in that. I don't know if that came with my age or not, because in my early 20s and 30s, I was definitely a people pleaser. But as I get older, I realize I don't care so much about what people think about me. I'm like, they can think what they want to think, but I know what's important to me. But I'll give you a personal example. I overextended myself about a year and a half ago. I really love my college. You'll see it in the back, Russ College. I was the alumni president. I'm the alumni president for my area. I was on the board of trustees for my college. Um, I volunteered for the American Heart Association. I was working. I'm a mom of two. They have sports. And I was like, I don't have any time. Like, I just felt like I was so stretched. And I know what's right. Like, it's easy for us. We know what's right, but it doesn't mean we always do what's right. And so I had to make some difficult choices around the things that I love to do, but I know that I couldn't do just because I didn't have enough time. And I ended up neglecting the very thing that's the most priority to me, which is my family. And so I reached out to the alumni club. So I was like, you know what? You know how much I love Russ College. It is one of the things that has made me who I am today. However, at this time in my life, I just cannot commit this time and I'm going to have to step down. And they were so gracious. They were like, oh, we understand you have small kids. And they were just so gracious. And I think that the first thing is expressing like, I want to be able to do this, but at this time, it's just not feasible for me. And you don't even have to use the two-letter word that people don't want to use. It's just not feasible, or this is just not a good time for me, but maybe in the future, or maybe not ever in the future. It doesn't matter. But, you give yourself a little bit of grace there and just say, you know what? It is something I want to do, but I just don't. And then sometimes you don't want to do it at all. And if we're going to be honest, I've had people invite me out, and some days I just don't want to go out. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just going to stay in today. I'm really tired. And just be honest, be transparent. I think that's one of the things, because everybody's been there. Just being truthful and honest and transparent with folks. And I think they respect that and understand that.
I'm going to use a personal example on the opposite side. Like I am a Latino. Was raised in a Latino family.
Yeah.
And Venezuelans are pushy. We feel very comfortable pushing others and being pushed as well. It's part of our culture, right?
Yeah.
So one that it's typical is you are invited for dinner, you eat your portion of the meal, and they will serve you more. Even without you asking. Maybe you don't want to eat anymore. But it's also considered rude to refuse it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I, I I'm with you on that boat of how age gives you, I don't know if it's wisdom or license to
Yeah.
not care that
Maybe.
much, to not care
Yeah.
that you start feeling more and more comfortable saying, no, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, but I already, I understand, but I'm good.
Yeah.
And I heard someone say, no, it's a complete sentence one time. And I was like, oh, what? No, it's a complete sentence? What do you mean? You have to explain nothing. If you say no,
Exactly. It's
it's
no.
a complete sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about your step number 4, Lauren, because
Number
I believe your step number 4 is
one of the big,
sometimes taboo
yeah.
to this day, you know?
Yeah. And especially in my community, in the African American community, it is like therapy. The T word is like, we don't need therapy. It's like we have church, and I'm not against church because I go to church, but we do need therapy. We need to make sure that we're preserving our mental health. Mental health, although I'm a life coach, I am not a therapist. So I encourage my clients, if they are having, trauma issues that are far beyond what a coach can do, I encourage them to go to therapy. In fact, I think everyone should go to therapy. I had a therapy session today. So I 100% am a proponent of people going to therapy. I've worked out so much trauma from like my childhood and just experiences that I had. And even now, like just some of the things that we go through as women, as adults and parents, and just need a safe place to have those conversations and work through some of those issues. So I encourage people to focus on their mental health. As much as we talk about all of the other things, affirmations are great, but if you have some trauma that hasn't been dealt with, you still need to go to therapy.
I'm, I've, I've done therapy forever. I feel like I've done that. First of all, finding the right therapist was a hassle.
Oh
Like
my
I went through
God.
10 different
Yeah.
therapists before I found the right one.
I'm happy you said that, Anna, because I think a lot of people think the very first person they go to has to be the one. But I tell folks, like, it's an interview process. You're interviewing them and they're interviewing you. And if it doesn't feel right, go to the next one. Like, that's why we have the interviewing process and we have insurance. So use it. I'm totally okay with that. But I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but I thought that.
No, agree 100%. I think I started going to therapy when I was a teenager. And I remember one of the people that I went to, he said, so you're fighting with your mom. Okay, so I'm just going to tell her that you are considering suicide, and then she's going to stop nagging at you. And I said, oh my God, you're going to kill her. I grabbed my purse and left like
Oh
immediately.
my gosh. Yeah.
Is this?
That's
So, but fast forward, I do remember at one point in my life going to my family doctor and sharing with him that I was going to therapy. And he said, I go to therapy.
love.
Anna, going to therapy, it's like going to the dentist. You need to get the gunk out of your mind as well, you know?
Absolutely.
It is important to go through those cycles. And it's typically a on and off situation throughout the years.
Yeah.
Sometimes more often, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's years without going. But having that resource has been a lifesaver in times of confusion because we don't know it all,
Yeah.
right?
That is so right.
So
That
it's when you're like, wait a minute, how do I deal with this? But there's people that study that can help
for a
you.
living. So go to the doctor and let them help you. It's okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. And
And
yeah,
therapy makes you a better mom, a better friend, a better wife. My husband, I'm sure, is very grateful that I've worked some of that trauma out in
and
therapy.
you know what? I'm going to share something personal here because I believe sometimes other people can learn from our mistakes, and if we can give them a shortcut so that they don't have to go through the same thing.
Yep.
Again, coming back to my culture and my upbringing in Latin America, you are conditioned to be tough emotionally.
Mm,
It's praised to be tough. if you are sensitive, there's a perception of weakness.
Yeah.
So I believe I was sensitive at some point in my life. It's so far behind that I can't remember it anymore, to be honest with you. But I went through a situation with one of my kids where she is a sensitive soul. It was so hard for me as a mom in my unconditional love to deprogram my brain and understand that she needed something different than what I was offering her. So if she would come to me and said, I'm sad, my immediate response was, you don't have a reason to be sad. You have a family that loves you. You have like 100% invalidating her feeling.
Yeah.
And it was coming from a place of love, right? So talking about therapy, one of the things that I've tried to learn in my recent years is to be a good listener.
Yes.
Become a better listener, because your kids, your husband, your friends, people will tell you what they need
Absolutely.
if you just listen. You will tell yourself what you need if you can just listen. And how powerful it is when you can put aside your belief system and truly in that love connection with yourself or with someone else, to look at their needs not from a place of judgment.
Yes.
It's same with me. Look at my own needs not from a place of judgment.
Absolutely.
Place of grace.
Yes. All of that. Yes.
I wish nobody invalidates their kids the way I invalidated mine. But what an incredible of humility was to learn to fulfill her needs in a different way.
Absolutely.
You mentioned one last point. So let me just recap the first four.
Okay.
Have the first four, and then you tell me if I'm right or wrong. Number one, it's acknowledging self-love.
Yes.
Understanding that self-love goes beyond this. It's really on how do I feel about myself? How do I perceive myself?
Yes.
How do I measure my own self-worth? Do I feel that I'm enough? How do I present myself with me when no one's looking? Number two, it's who do I want to be? And use the powerful tool of affirmations to declare that I am that person today in the present time. I am brave. I am kind. I am smart. I am gracious. I am tolerant. You name it. I'm organized. I am a good planner.
To use that one, I am organized. Yes.
I'm enough. I'm enough. To me, it's one that like, ouch. Number three, it's kind of like pick your friends. look at your circle, and it's your external circle and also your own personal boundaries to protect
Absolutely
your own self-being, and make sure that you surround yourself with people that elevate you and that you also elevate them. And then ask for help. Like when things get confusing or muddy and you feel like you can't figure it out on your own, just like go to therapy, ask for help, and don't be content with your first attempt if that was a failed one.
Yeah.
Now you still have a number five.
I do. And I saved one of the best for last. I think they're all great. But the last one is around physical health. I feel like the way that you take care of your body is a direct reflection on how much you love yourself. And that's not just what you look like physically, but like what you put into your body. So what are you eating? Are you exercising? When I was younger, I shared like it was all about vanity. So I would eat McDonald's and then I'd go try to go to the gym, 24-hour fitness or LA Fitness, and work out for hours. But now as I get older, I realize the importance of really eating a healthy diet that's balanced and incorporating physical activity into my daily routine, because it's so important. I have a Peloton in my office right now. Like I think it's so important. So it's a reminder also, work out. But it's so important to really focus on your physical as well as part of your loving yourself as self-care. That's extremely important.
You said what you put in your body, it's also a reflection of your self-love and self-care.
Yes.
And earlier today, I have been cognizant. I shared with you, Lauren, that I had thyroid cancer 2 years ago. And that was kind of like a red flag that pushed me a little harder towards living healthier and cleaner, right? Because sometimes you're just going through the motions of your daily routine and you don't stop to think, what are the necessary changes to ensure that I'm healthy and my family is healthy beyond the obvious. I'm just going to say beyond the obvious, right?
Yeah.
Now it is true that even though I would dare to say that most of our followers are people that are very focused on eating healthy and eating products that are clean, that are USDA certified organic, that have not been sprayed with pesticides, etc., or genetically modified. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
There's it starts expanding from what you eat. I read once, if you're eating organic but you're rubbing, spraying the largest skin in your body, the largest just organ,
yeah,
which is with toxic, like you're doing it wrong. It's like, oh,
that's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah.
From what we put our skin, it's directly absorbed into our body. Yeah. And of course, we did the change. Clearly the change. I did the change to soaps that are organic, lotions, shampoo. I mean, skincare, you name it, right?
Yeah.
But then there's like, it feels at moments like, number one, we're surrounded by toxins everywhere.
Oh my goodness, yes. And I have these conversations with my best friends all the time around just the way that, anyway, I won't go deep into that rabbit hole, but that there feels like sometimes our country's trying to kill us just by all of the things that are allowed. But I'm grateful that there's companies like Poofy that are creating things that are healthier for people to consume. So that's great.
But Lauren, to our kids, I mean, my kids,
I know, yeah.
My 5-year-old came from the school today with the goodie bags, with candy.
I already know.
Candy from a friend. And I'm like, you know how hard it is to take candy from a 5-year-old because it's not healthy for them with all the dyes and colors.
Yeah. I can't even, I'm going to say my kids do eat candy. It's one of the things that their grandmother tends to give, but she didn't give it to me, but I'm like, please don't do that because it's not healthy. We try to do healthy here, like water and not, processed foods and juices.
No sodas and no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's challenging though.
And then it feels like if it were like rings, like you start changing one thing at a time. It can, for someone that's getting started on their clean living journey, it can even feel overwhelming at some point because you do feel like you're under attack. That's at least I feel that I am under attack, and you're like always defending, deflect, but with one change at a time until it becomes a routine. My husband came today with all food containers, with glass food containers. He came in with 3 bags and said, like, ditching everything that is not.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
So it's becoming a family thing. All right. I want to look at our YouTube 1 second to see if we have any questions for you.
Okay.
And we're also going to do 2 things with the people that are attending and watching the replay. One of them, we do have 5 books signed by you on the title of the book. It's Love Yourself Like a Boss. It couldn't be any better. and it is like a journal, right? So that people can write on and
It's
have
a book journal. Yeah. So there's activities
love it.
for like a daily process, and then journaling to chart how you feel, and you go through the process and journey. So that's great.
Absolutely love it. When we do a part 2 of this conversation, we're going to be able to go through some of the things that we have unveiled on that, on the with the use of your journal. And then the other thing I'm going to share, it's a code for people that are watching, that so that they can use to get an extra discount. So let me go here. I love this so much. Let me read some of these comments to you. I love this so much and appreciate this opportunity. The way you care for your body, it's a reflection on how you love yourself. 100%.
Yes.
100%. Some great tips here. Love the part about helping your children learn how to find their people. The interview process, same as we do with a therapist. I have everything I need on the inside of me. That's one that I missed on my mental notes. I absolutely love that affirmation. I have everything I need inside of me. Okay, so before we go, we have a few things still to share. Number one, I would love for you to give us one homework.
Okay.
Something that we can take tonight and do tonight and put it on practice, that it's going to start flipping those patterns that I have in my brain about my own worth and my self-appreciation.
Okay.
Let's just start there.
All right. So I will share. There's one that I usually do with my clients, and it's probably one that makes people feel a little bit vulnerable. So I'll just put it out there. But I encourage them to, like, maybe after they take a shower or before they take a shower, when they don't have any clothes on, so it's very personal, look in the mirror and put your hand over your chest and tell yourself, I love you. So in my case, I love you, Lauren. I love you, Lauren. And say it until you believe it and you start to feel it. And I will share that when I first started doing that, like, I cried. Like, I was like, I do love like, it hits you, like, you do love yourself. And that means looking at your entire body from the outside to the inside. Like, I love me and I'm worthy of love. And just saying that to yourself, like, I love myself, but not myself, but saying it to yourself. So I love Lauren. So in your case, you'd be saying, I love Anna. I love you, Anna. I love you. I love you. You sent me a video today that I thought was so good. I've seen it before, but seeing it again was just like, yes, like, you are your person. You are your
person.
Yeah.
You are your person. We spend our lives looking for someone to care for our heart.
Yeah.
We grew up watching all these movies with princesses that are asleep, waiting for the prince to come on a white horse to wake us up and take care of us.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having someone that has your back and takes care of you, but goodness gracious, we own person.
Yeah. You're your own hero in your story. Like, it's you. Like, you have to love you.
It's you. This video said you're giving this person this baby. You're giving this baby, right? Yeah. And you have to care for this baby. And how would you approach every day if you would know that you are the baby that you have to take care of?
So good.
And wow, it's like mind-blowing.
How do you talk to your friends? That's how you should talk to yourself. That's in my book too, but how do you talk to yourself, right? And how do you treat yourself? Because would you treat anybody else like that? The 80% of the things that we say negatively, would you ever say that to someone else? Absolutely not. So why are you saying it to yourself? Like, we have to deprogram and reprogram. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so here's one question that I am receiving on the side. How does self-care prepare us to give the best version of ourselves to others? How does that healing process help us?
That's beautiful. So I will share that there's something that I've read in the Bible so many times around, my cup runneth over. You can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to fill yourself up first. And then the overflow you give to others. So you never become empty. So self-care is a part of actually, I may be freezing. Can you hear me, Anna?
But let me just check with, wow, that's a very challenging homework. Okay, you're back.
Okay, here I am. I was just saying that you have to fill up your cup first, and self-care is a part of that. So after you fill your cup up, the overflow of that you can give to someone else. So if you ever feel yourself being depleted, that
You
means
can give to someone only if you have something inside.
surplus.
Wow.
Not only that, but surplus. Like, not just like it should be enough, but more than enough. So then the overflow is what you give to everyone else. So you continue to keep yourself full. Oh no. Did I lose you again?
That we,
okay.
The video seems to come in and out a little bit, but I think we're good again.
Okay.
So let me tell you this. You're saying what you're saying, it's like, again, drop the mic. You cannot give from an empty cup. If you're not taking care of yourself and you are not fulfilled, how can you take care of someone else?
Absolutely.
I'm going to do a pause. This is not the connection. This is just me pausing here so that we can all spend a few seconds on that thought. One of our comments said that was a very, very hard homework. Someone in our it's like, that's a very challenging homework. I'm committed. Being a person is such a great way to characterize self-love. That's another comment. I think, oh, this is so good. Thank you for the reminders. I needed this. Getting back to my affirmations. I love that.
Good.
I think we owe it to ourselves to do the homework today. And the best things in our lives are on the other side of our comfort zone.
Absolutely.
It's paraphrasing my mom, who pushed me my entire life to become a better human being. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves to do this extra effort of being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
For our own benefit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want to do, Lauren, let me just see out of our audience. I want us to give away one book tonight.
Okay.
And I'm going to reserve the other 4 for the next week or so.
Okay.
And then depending on the participation that we receive on our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel, people will be able to also comment and ask and chime in, and have the opportunity to earn one of your signed books.
Awesome.
Give me one number, because I know you're looking at your phone, so you're not seeing this. Give me one number from 1 to 10.
2.
Okay, that was an easy one. So Andrea Green, you have won. You have won Lauren's journal. You're gonna receive it with her signature, and we're gonna send it to your address for you to have fun with it. All right. The other thing I wanted to share is, let me go to my notes, because like I used to have an incredible memory, but now I'm going to start working on an affirmation about my memory starting today.
Yeah.
I have a great memory.
Yes.
I always said I have a great memory, and I have started saying something different lately. Okay, so one of the things that I want to do is extend an invitation to anybody that watches this video to join our newsletter, because we are sharing tips for self-care and self-love on Poofy Organics newsletter once a month. You're not going to get a ton of emails on your inbox. It's once a month. and you're going to receive information about living healthier, living organic, and what's happening out there in the world to for those that are in the same line of action as us, fighting for sustainability and toxin-free living. The other thing I want to share is, because we're getting close to Valentine's Day, and we do always have the gift giving portion. I'm just going to say it the way I feel it this year. I placed my own personal orders and bought my own products for me. And I am using my scrub and my body butter on myself, and it feels amazing. So the invitation is to visit poofyorganics.com if you want to treat yourself to something special around the Valentine's Day. And then the last thing I want to share is it's a 10% discount code that it's only going to be available for 48 hours. So the code expires on Friday at midnight Pacific Standard Time. And it's available to anybody that it's watching this. It cannot be combined with any other discount code. And it's only applicable for orders of $50 or more. And the code is SELFLOVE10. SELFLOVE10 will gift anyone, any of our customers of 10% off. That's all I have in my to-do list. Let me just go back and check. This feels like when you are on those shows when people consult the audience.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. Andres is like super happy that she won.
Excited for her. Yeah.
And saying that she's doing her homework today. I am doing my homework today, Lauren. I am doing my homework today, and I'm going to add to it because I'm still raising kids, and I have a 5-year-old now, and I want to lead by example so that she feels confident in her own skin and loves her whole self. So I'm going to start modeling this. So it's a good commitment. Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you so much.
I have appreciated this. I've enjoyed our time together.
Thank you for pouring your love and your heart. Thank you for being a difference maker, for helping other people find themselves. And when you say pick your tribe, I'm going to say, let's do this again, because I want you in our lives. I'm talking as a representative of Poofy now. I want you in Anna's life, and I want you in our Poofy life as well. So let's reconnect next month for a part 2, where we expand in one. I'm just going to put it out there actually and ask our audience to vote if they want to expand this in alignment with establishing boundaries. It was one of the things that you share. I think that's one where a lot of people struggle with, or if you want to expand on affirmations, on how to rewire your brain effectively. And you're so good. All right. Have a great rest of your night.
You too, Anna.
And thank you for having us.